Hey, this is Matthew Bauer and Nate Brewer, 4002 and You. We're here with Breanna Mekuly from Emmaus Ministries. And Breanna, thanks for participating with 4002 and You. Can you explain to us what Emmaus Ministries does and where you're located?
Sure. So we have a soup kitchen, we have a food pantry, and we have a kids cafe, and then we also have a garden. So we are on East 11th Street, right across from Piper Burley Elementary School. Our soup kitchen serves about like 150 people each evening. And that's like a warm meal. So whoever shows up at the door, they can have a warm dinner for that evening. And then our food pantry serves about 300 families a week. So they are come and they can get their groceries. And so we have about like 10 to 12 items that they're able to take home. Our kids cafe serves, it kind of depends on the number of kids based on the year, and maybe around like 50. So these children will come after school, they'll get help with homework. They'll be able to, play some games, and then they'll have a good, nutritious meal. We always try to make sure that it's different than the meal they had at school that day, because you really don't want to have the same meal twice. And then we have a
I don't
garden
mind
too.
the same meal twice. I really like food.
Well, with some of our children, we want to make sure they have options.
Sure. No, I got you.
And then we also have a garden, and the garden is right behind the food pantry and the soup kitchen. And so we grow a bunch of a bunch of local produce. We have a few fruit trees. So we have apples and pears, and maybe that's all, apples and pears. And then we also have a bunch of herbs and veggies and flowers there. And so they hand those out right to people at the food pantry right away when they're harvested, or they bring them to the soup kitchen and we make them into a salad or cook them in the food.
So how big's the garden?
It's not huge, but it's a good size. I think, oh, I don't really know. I think they have like 50 beds in there. So, I mean, they get a lot of produce. They usually have around like 2,000 to 3,000 pounds of produce at the end of the year, depending on how harvest went.
Well, that's a lot of pounds of food.
Yeah.
Hey, you were telling us about a food desert, not food dessert, food desert. So what is a food desert?
Yeah. So a food desert is a location in which 30% or more of the population there is living under the poverty level. And also, it's more than a mile to get to a supermarket or a grocery store that has fresh produce. So, according to the county of Erie, there are 10 different food deserts within our county here. And then within the city of Erie, or I think there's 12, sorry. And within the city, there's 10. And so Emmaus is within one of those. So that means that a lot of the people who might use our services, they probably are suffering from some kind of poverty, well below the poverty line. And they also have a hard time getting to a grocery store because, I mean, a mile doesn't seem like too much, but if you're walking back with groceries for a mile, that's quite a while.
In the snow? Yeah.
Yeah, definitely. Or if you have children in tow and you're trying to, push the high chair or push the stroller and then keep the other one along and then bring a grocery bag. So that's why we try to have that garden so we can have some fresh produce, and then also the food pantry in the kitchen so we can make sure that people are getting that food every single day, but then also able to bring some of that home from the food pantry and cook it at home.
So, part of 4002 and You's mission is to bring awareness. So if somebody wanted to do a little bit more research, or they wanted to volunteer, or they wanted more information on Emmaus Ministries, where would they go? Who would they contact? How can they participate?
Yeah. So that would be wonderful. So we have a website. It's emmauserie.org. And so they could visit our website, and they could just kind of see what we're needing. So we usually have a little list there of things that we're looking for at this time. And they could also, send us an email or something. Our email addresses are listed on there, and ask if we're in need of any volunteers. A lot of folks help with desserts, so they can make desserts at their house, maybe cookies or brownies or something like that, and then bring them in, because we always serve desserts every single night, just so everybody has a little treat too. In the winter in particular, when it gets colder outside, everybody needs hats and gloves and warm socks. And so those are things that we collect during these months in particular.
Gotcha. So we give a donation every month. So, but like in Emmaus's instant, what would that donation probably go towards?
All kinds of things. So, food, at the soup kitchen, we purchase all the food using donations. And we try to make sure that our food is good and nutritious and something that we, all of us would get. So, we get our food from Curtsy, and they've been really good to us. And then sometimes those donations just go to general operating. So, keeping the lights on, keeping the heat on, all of that kind of stuff, making sure that everything is updated and maintained. We've got stoves there, and the ovens, and we have a walk-in freezer, and we have a walk-in refrigerator. So just kind of making sure that we can keep everything and use it right away, and that we're not wasting any food, and we're making sure that the food is getting directly to the people who really need it.
That's awesome. That's great that you do that for people, because I know it's definitely needed, especially down. And I've never heard of food desert before, I don't even know what would have came to my mind if I heard that without an explanation, but it makes perfect sense, especially in the winter. And I know it's not even a comparison, but I just walk my dogs down through the field in the 1.5 feet of snow, and I didn't get to go too far. I was worn out, so I can imagine these people that got to walk a mile to a grocery store and then bring it all home.
Yeah, and one of the things that we know too is that some of our folks who are coming in have some kind of disability or struggle, physically too, and maybe on disability, and coming to the soup kitchen as some kind of supplemental meals. So that means that it's really even more difficult to get out, especially those who are in a wheelchair or who use like a cane or something to try and navigate these roads while they're icy. So we try to do the best that we can to make sure that everybody is, getting the food that they really need.
Well, thank you for what you do. We're proud to partner with you.
Yeah,
Um,
thank you.
Hopefully we can do it again next year.
Hmm.
Okay. So again, Matthew Bauer, Nate Brewer, and Breanna Mekuly from Emmaus Ministries. Thank you
Yeah,
very
thank
much.
you. Thanks.